everyone, this is part 2 of 1-point perspective buildings. So looking at our image, what we did last time is we created our road, our sidewalk, some of these buildings here, balcony, doors, or windows. So I'm going to show you kind of a little bit more of the rest of how to add on, say, these little poles here, maybe some of these balconies that are round, kind of these arches, how to get indent these doors, and some little bit of that side over there. So looking at our actual image, you can see that we created these 3 buildings, which are the 3 buildings here that's close to our vanishing point on the right hand side. We also split this big chunk building and that spot there, so then we have our 3 windows that are sticking out. So what we need to do is we also need to make our left hand side. So if you're curious on how we made this here, so where the road ends. So if you look at your image, your road ends here and you have a big block here. Well, what we did is we just pretty much used our ruler, made a horizontal line right on that road, straight. And then we made a line that went up. So on the side to give it thickness. So pretty much this is a box and this is a box. What you're seeing is you're cutting off the side of the box here and you're cutting off the side of the box here. So that's why we're making a vertical line. And then you're going to make a horizontal line that connects the end of these buildings. Because if we look at our actual image, you can see that this road and the sidewalk ends right where those buildings end as well. Same here, those buildings go up that way. So again, making that straight so it connects that. All right, so that we don't need anymore. That we can erase. Do not erase your vanishing point, however. So this gap we're going to make here is going to be where this building is going to be. So if we can see that part. All right, so if that is where our sidewalk ends, we need to go straight up vertically from the end of that sidewalk. So make sure it lines up the side of your page. And you're going to go straight above because that line goes all the way off the paper. All right, so now that we have that vertical line there, what we're going to do next is we are going to then look at our image. We're going to see where these doors, how tall they are going to be, because we want to make them the same length as they go to that vanishing point. Same with the bottoms here. Some of the bottoms kind of float up a little bit, but we're going to make all the bottoms touch to that sidewalk. So that is up to you if you want them to be up a little bit more or down a little bit. So looking at these bottoms of these doors or windows goes all the way down to this side here. So right where we made that thickness on the bottom. So if that's the thickness on the bottom or the door for that trimming, it's going to be a little bit lower than that. It's almost close to that line. So I'm going to take that point that I just made. That is where the bottom of the door is. Take my ruler, go to the vanishing point very lightly, so I know where the bottom of my door is going to be. How do I know where to place these doors and how they're going to get thinner or shorter as they go towards the vanishing point? Well, if we look, all of these are going to get smaller as they go towards that vanishing point, and they are going to get thinner. So we need to figure out where's the spaces, where's the doors or windows. So looking at this, we already placed these windows or doors there. So that means that now we are working on this part over. So we're not worrying about this part. We're working in chunks. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have about 12 windows / doors and spaces. Now, when we do fractions, when we divide or crisscross to find middle, we're finding half. Now, when you divide those halves in half, so you get 4th, then an 8th, and a 16th. That doesn't exactly fit in with the number that we just found. So we're going to then go to about an 1/8 because we don't need to divide it completely into a 16th, and see if we can divide it from there. So taking your ruler, what you're going to do is we're going to pretend like this whole thing is a box. So taking your ruler, going corner to corner, so right at the bottom where that sidewalk is and that corner of the top box, we're going to crisscross, and we're going to pretend that the top of this corner of the paper and the corner of that building is going to be, whoops, a little bit off there. Where's my corner? Right there, okay. Just like there. So Erase that so I don't confuse myself. This is the center of my box. So where that is, I'm going to shoot that straight up. So make that a vertical line. So where that sidewalk needs to go, I'm going to erase some of these X's so it doesn't confuse myself. So we're just working on columns. So now I have 2 halves, splitting those halves in half to get 4s. So I should have 4 those boxes. So 1, got there. And got that one too. All right, vertical lines, straight up and down. So again, by using those X marks, we can find the center of our paper, of our box. Okay, I'm gonna erase those X's again so that I don't confuse. Erasing those X marks is gonna help you kind of understand where those columns are gonna be. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need an 8th. So again, we need a crisscross in those boxes. I recommend starting on one side and going to the other by crisscrossing each of those. So I get 1 and crisscrossing that. And then my second box. And crisscrossing this here. And corner. All right, to make those vertical lines, this is center, going straight up. There's that line, erasing the X marks, got another vertical line. Erasing the X mark. Another vertical line. And I'm going to do one more over here. And erasing those X marks so we can get our columns. All right. So once we find our columns, then using the line that we made for the top here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see as they go more towards your vantage point, which is over here, the smaller they get and the thinner that they get. Now, looking at our actual image, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 areas, but we only have 8. So what we might need to do is maybe crisscross them again, because since there is more spaces and doors, we want to make sure that we find the right measurements. So again, going into these boxes, crisscrossing, you know, it's a lot of crisscrossing, but that's how we're going to evenly find these spaced. All right. Okay. And crisscross it again. You'll see that these columns start getting smaller and smaller. All right, almost there. And there we go. Almost done. We gotta do 2 more columns. And our last column. Right here, next street. Just gonna erase straight up in those columns. We don't have any lines that are gonna be confusing us. And I did mine light, so you will not see much of those left. You might see a little bit of lines left. All right. So I'm just gonna re-go over these lines a little bit so that you can see better. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16. A lot more than what we need, but that is okay. So now what we're going to see here, if we only need how many spacings? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spacings. And then obviously, if it was 12, then you have 6 of those windows/doors. So now we got to figure out, okay, if we're looking at our image, we do have a big gap here. So let's pretend like this is a spacing. I like marking these by sections. So space, so I'm putting S for space. And maybe I want these two to be a door. So that's door here. You're gonna figure out, okay, there's another space between. Maybe I want that space to be a little bit smaller, even though it's a little bit bigger in the picture. That's okay, because we need to make enough room. And then we have, say, the door. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 left. That means that's the space there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So maybe 2 here would be door. And again, I'm just eyeballing this to see how much space needs to be between these objects, because it could depend on how your image looks like too. Okay, so we have space, door, space, door, space. Then let's make this one smaller as a door, this one as a space. Okay, that one's going to be a door. So space, door, space, door, space, door, space, door, space, door, space, door. Now I do have a little bit extra here, so maybe since this is a bigger gap here, I'm going to scoot it down a little bit. So I'm going to erase these real quick since I drew them lightly. And again, this all depends on how your building looks. So let's scoot this over one more. So this is based on columns, so I'm going to have 2 spaces instead of 1 space here. So space, 2 spaces here is door, space, 1 column, door, 1 column, space, 1 column, door, 1 column, space, 1 column, door, 1 column, space, 1 column, door. Because our door goes all the way at the bottom, or at the end of this big chunk here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those doors or windows. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. All right, so that's what we did about that. So we did 2 spaces that had 2 columns and 2 spaces that had doors on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with our first door. Now you can see this door is indented. So we're going to pretend like it's flat. We're not going to indent it just yet. So what we need to see is these arches are actually added on. So we're not even going to count those arches yet. What we are looking at is the top where these corners right here on our doors are going to be. We're going to line all of those up. I know some of them are going to be off, so that's okay. So if I was off of my page, right about here. That's about my balcony where I had this line here. then most likely that is going to be about, well, this is the bottom of my balcony, so all those line up. So that's about that there. So maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller or below. So we're going to put about right here. So that's below. So I'm following this line here. So that was my bottom of my balcony. That was bottom of my balcony. I just shifted it down a little bit. So that's what that line is there. Same thing as we did with the other ones. You take it to the vanishing point. So taking that line, just marked very lightly on this chunk, making that top line of the door. Now, knowing that this door is 2 spaces, we can erase that column line, opening that up. Same here, erasing the column line, opening it up. Same here, that's 2 spaces, space there, so we know that's how we're going to space everything out. Now what we're going to do is we are going to make our first door. So considering that this and this is exactly where this and this are, we need to extend that up a little bit. So we need to make sure we know what our height of our arch is going to be, because our arch is added on. So that's the arch on top there. So if that's a little bit bigger, I'm going to mark it here, because knowing this all lines up to that vanishing point, this must go off the page right here. So actually, I'm going to make them a little bit taller. I'm going to move that up. There we go. And take my ruler. We could go to that vanishing point very lightly on top there. So now I know this is my thickness of that arch. So my door and my arch. All right, on here. How we are going to then find the arch is on the top. So this is the top of our door right here. That's where this arch is. You need to find middle. I already found middle because by dividing it over and over again in 16ths, then since it's double space, I already found middle. So I already know that this is where that middle line is. So using that middle line, if you do not have a middle line inside the box like you will in these smaller ones, you'll have to crisscross find middle once again to expand it up. So in that line here, this is where the arch ends. So from this top, we're expanded up to this line that I just created, to that corner, the top of the door, and to the other corner. You are going to then connect it by curving it. So those are done by curves. Now, the same thing we're going to do here where that door is. I already had a line there. So connecting the tops of the door with that middle line, then we can curve it. So you can see I'm already starting to get my curves on here. Looks a little bit different on here than it is here. And of course it will, because your image is going to be not completely lined up as your actual drawing. Now on doors, how we get the thickness here or how we invert it. The way that you're going to do it for all of them is if this is the bottom. Let me erase these. So I already know those are spaces and those are doors. I'm not going to erase the other half, so just so I know. At the bottom, this is your sidewalk. So this is your sidewalk here. You're going to take this corner, the closest bottom corner to your vanishing point. And since we're in one point, you're going to go horizontal. But you're only going a little bit in. You're not going too far in. Because if you look at this door, this is the line we're making at the bottom of that door. We're just indenting it in by a little bit, because a little bit of the door does show. Then what you're going to do, where you stopped at that line, so you're going to bring it straight up only to this line, because this is where your arch is. We need to move your line with your arch. You're going to take your line, move it straight up, vertical to this area here. So only to this line. That's where we started our arch. This is going to then go to your vanishing point, because as you can see, we already made our line there, so that already follows suit of that line. This is that side there, because since this is an arch, the way that it's seen, you can see on your actual image, it's thicker here and then it gets thinner. It's almost like a curve that kind of goes into itself on that corner. This is going to, you're just going to kind of have to draw this out, slightly curve. It almost looks like a hook, so you can kind of see the bottom of that arch. This part, you can kind of, that little extra-ness You can draw out yourself. You can hand draw that. That's up to you. I'm hand drawing it on top of there, however you like. But this is that thickness there. If I wanted to, I can make it a little bit thicker. All depends on what you want to do. All right, so this is a little bit thicker. I'm going to bring this down because there is trimming on the side. Since I made this added little piece, might as well just add a little bit of thickness on the side here. And yes, I am hand drawing it down, I'm not using my ruler. This is up to you, but I would use a straight edge. All right, down to that bottom line there. This same thing. It's gonna have, this is trimming right here on this side. So this is on the front part. All right, so now that we have the trimming on that door, this is kind of an arch, same thickness. So again, same thickness as that side there. We got to figure out where that kind of footing or the down bottom part of that ledge is on the door. So what you're doing is right here where you made that vertical line on that indent, you're going to use your vanishing point because this line that I'm going to be making has to match this line of the sidewalk. Because if you make it oddly a weird line, it's not going to look great. So now what we have, looking at this door, this was a horizontal line. This line went to the vanishing point because that's where I stopped here. This you take to the vanishing point. This one you just straight go up where you end, where this starts on the top of the door. So that was where we made that line. You're going to take your arch here and you're going to kind of mimic it as you go around there. So that is your first beginning there. Now to make this little top part, of course, using your vanishing line, anything that's horizontal, cut it in half. You kind of can just eyeball that, and you might have those little swirls or anything that you might have in here. So you're having that go there. I'm just drawing this in so that you guys can see. So that's just top part of my door. Then same thing, drawing this vertical. This will go to our vanishing point. Same here. I'm trying that goes to our vanishing point. It's actually a little bit bigger. Going straight vertical. Line a line to the bottom edge. Actually, it doesn't go that deep. I'm gonna cut it off right there. So this goes to that vanishing point, making sure, just like that. There we go. And that's my little window in my door. It's a little bit thicker, but that's okay. You're just gonna look a little bit different than the actual image. Now, when it comes to round balconies, kind of the same thing as we did here, rounding it off. So using those opposite corners to connect a curve, except for we're doing it on a different plane. Now, looking at our balconies, this one here, so our second door, we actually have a curved balcony on it. This part here actually has a balcony that stops right here and it juts out, but we're not going to worry about that one because that one's pretty much going to be made the same as we do here. We just got to know where our balconies start and end by kind of using the objects below them. So we know that this balcony is just as wide as this door, same here, and this balcony starts at where this door ends. So, talking about curved balconies. So above it, if this balcony is all aligned here, this bottom is going to be the same as this line here. So that's where our curve is going to start. Now, we are going to find the bottom of a box. So we got to add the bottom of a box there. So how we do that is first, we are going to make a horizontal line because we have to jut it out, adding a box on top of it. So if this is where it ends here, and this is where it starts and where it ends, we're going to make a line. It's only that much out, so we can see that here. And then where we stopped with that line, we're going to go to that vanishing point because anything horizontal is going to go towards the vanishing point. Drawing out so far because I need to make a horizontal line that connects with that ending dot to make the bottom of my box. So that's how far it's going to go. However, it is curved. So when we think about a side of a box, just like how we crisscrossed, you're going to do opposite corners. You're going to crisscross them. I know it's very thin. It's going to be hard to see. Crisscross them to find center. That's where my center is of my box. Now, to know where the center is on the bottom of a box, again, going horizontal, right in the middle, since these lines go horizontal, not following the vanishing point. So this, I just made that dot. I'm going to erase this in here so you can see, is where that middle of this side almost box is. So this is that corner, it's me up, go that way. So essentially, this is like our balcony right here. This is a box face, this is the bottom. We found center by crisscrossing, making a horizontal line straight to that middle point, so it goes right here. Ironically, it goes on the same point, or same line that we created there when we crisscrossed. What we want to do to make it a curve, so kind of like how we did here, is we are going to curve it to the opposite point, curve it to the opposite point. So the way that we're going to do here, if this is the opposite point, so this we're pretending as a side. So when we think about it, this is just more of, if this is the balcony, we can see so this is the bottom. Cross this off, we found center. This went straight up, this is the end of our box. So I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. So I made a horizontal line here. This is a box, that is a box on the bottom. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. So box here, box here. All you do is just divide it in half. They're kind of like the same as the columns. To curve it, what you're gonna do is this middle line is going to curve and go to its opposite corner. So that's the opposite corner. Same here, the opposite corner is right over here because you have corner, 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 corner. So to the opposite corner, you're going to then curve that. The curve is going to be much wider. This one's going to short around this way. So essentially where this rounds off, that is where the balcony goes straight up to this point. Same here, where this went straight up, that's going to curve and mimic the same as this line here. So you're making that balcony there. Where you made the curve here is the same up here. Because when you think about it, the top of this box here goes to that vanishing point as well. Because that's a corner here. We make that go there. That crosses off here as well. So that's the top of the box. Same thing happens. Turning it over to that corner. So that's how we're going to make a curved balcony. So it's all about opposite corners and curving them. Even though it's slanted, you're still going to that opposite corner. So if I think of this right here, this is going to go to that side, and this is going to curve over here. Where that juts out a little bit, I'm going to bring that straight up. So I'm going to erase that so it doesn't confuse you. Curves the same here as it does on the bottom. And then from that middle point around, it's going to curve that way. Now looking at our image, it's pretty tall, so just as tall as this one here. So I just want to make sure that's as tall. If not, I have to extend it up. So yeah, definitely got to extend it up. Because if we follow the top, ooh, definitely. But this line is definitely much, much, much taller. So this, we just want to extend up. Extend up. I'm going to erase this real quick. This was the middle. Setting that up. Curving that, because we're going to curve it the same as we did here. Our balcony. And curving it over here. So looking at here, it has all those different marks. So of course, you'll add those in however you like. But as they go around the corner, the closer they get together. So that's how you're going to create a balcony. So as you can see, these windows kind of go off here. So are those doors. And that's kind of how you start finding those curves and balconies and so forth. Now, another thing that you want to look at is these pillars. These pillars here, they all are following the same line on the top and on the bottom. So if you use your ruler, they're all going to the vanishing point on top. Even though some of these might be shorter, depending on the road. Every picture is not perfect. Look at the bottom of these, they all go into there. But if you look at your image, they are bigger, much further away from each other when they are closer to you. When they get closer to that vanishing point, the smaller they get. So what you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's about 19 just on this single block here. But what you need to figure out is where the top of these pillars end. So it's a little bit taller than the thickness of this trimming on the bottom here. So I'm gonna mark that a little bit up right here maybe. Making a line here, going to that vanishing point. So now that's how tall all those are gonna be. I'm just gonna erase this so that's not in the way. All right, so knowing that this line right here is what I'm using to figure out how tall these are. Now, on the side, if you look at sidewalk, it's pretty much aligned with the thickness of this area here that we made earlier, which is right here. So that's going to rest on the side. Now, the way that you're going to draw this is you're going to kind of just space it and draw it out yourself. Now, what I'm going to show you is by using your image, you're going to have to eyeball. This is right at the edge of this door. So that means that it's going to be as tall as that door. So I'm going to say it's about this big. Kind of goes down a little bit, straight, horizontal, and it's kind of curved, goes out. Now this is my edge, so maybe I brought it down too long. Now if this is where the edge is, here, they line up. So on that box, this is the side, that one box, this ends a little bit past, yep, a little bit past here. Again, following, or pretending like you're following that vanishing point. This is going to be a regular box side, so that's going to go horizontal, straight down, vertical, and horizontal. And then following the vanishing point that way, and going horizontal that way. That's essentially how you're going to start out your boxes here. And that is your first pull. So you're going to keep on doing that as you keep on going this way. Now remember, you will have to shade these. So that's the last step that you have to do to all of your project. So I recommend that you get everything out first. Just a quick thing, if you're really a person for detail, if you look at the brick here, when you're laying out bricks, they get smaller and smaller and smaller as you go this way. So if you're saying you're doing bricks, you're laying them out. What I recommend doing is you can make them really thin here. Then as they get closer to you, the wider these lines get. Now, if those are your bricks, and that's how big you want your bricks to be. Now you got to figure out how your lines are going to line up with the vanishing point. Meaning, the side of the bricks here, they're going this way, are all going to the vanishing point. Doesn't matter where they're going this way. They're always going horizontal this way. They're going to be laid out horizontal. But when you're doing every other, they're all going to go to that vanishing point. So they're all going to go to that vanishing point. So it's going to almost look like a checkerboard at first, but then you can erase every other. So you can figure out, okay, that is where I want my bricks to be. So they're all going to that vanishing point, all lining up here to create a brick road. And you can always add more lines in here, but if you're not happy with how those bricks are laying, just adding more and more in there. But make sure you add them between all of those as they go towards, because they should get smaller and less detailed as they go closer to that vanishing point, but they should get bigger to get towards you. So it all looks like it's going towards that vanishing point. And then you can just take your lines Now I recommend doing this with a ruler, not so much hand drawing it out, because if you hand draw it out, it's going to look a little wonky, unless you actually want it to look like it's a little bit of a very old pavement. All right, so that should be the pretty much basics of balcony, indenting the door, finding these poles in the balconies, doing the brick of the road. So that should be enough to help you guys get on your way on doing the rest of your project.